All right, everybody, welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about chapter 9 in your book, which is all about persuasion, which is not about the media per se, but a lot of people who study the media are interested in, oh, how do things like advertisements that we see in the media, how do they persuade people? So basically today, the whole objective is just to understand one big theory or model about how people process persuasive messages that they encounter on the media. And the basic question is why do some persuasive messages work and others don't, right? Like you're not persuaded by everything. And the psychologists come at it from this processing standpoint, okay? So, for the record, there's a lot of answers to this question. We're just going to take one approach. This is a fancy title, but don't be intimidated. It just has like a weird word for something really obvious. Like that's what social scientists like to do a lot. So the elaboration likelihood model. This is a very, very famous psychological theory about how people engage in message processing when they need to make some sort of decision. And the decision could be as simple as like, should I buy this or not? Should I click on this or not? So like that's what we're talking about with persuasion and attitude change. The reason I said it's like kind of overly complicated because elaboration is just a really fancy word for thinking about it. How likely is it that people are going to elaborate on or think about it? Okay, so I like the word elaboration for the record, but it's too fancy for what it means. How likely is it that people are going to elaborate or think about a message? And this theory says basically there's two different ways people can go and make a decision about something. They could use the central route, which is the elaboration or thinking about route centrally. That means they're really going to think about it. They're going to process it. Or they could use a peripheral route, which doesn't require as much thought. Okay. And to be fair, these two routes kind of bleed together, but I just really want you to understand the basics for your quiz. So just think about it like they're going to either take the central route or they're going to take the peripheral route. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through. So the central route, remember, this is the thinking route. If somebody presents me a message, like let's say I'm watching a political debate on television and it's something I really care about, I'm going to think carefully about the arguments that they're saying. I'm going to really think, does that make sense? I'll kind of weigh the evidence, weigh the logic of what they're saying. This is how I grade your discussion board post. I'm like really trying to think. I'm like, did you support your ideas with, acceptable examples and things like that? If persuasion happens that way, if I'm watching a political debate and, whoever's debating makes a really good argument, and I'm like, oh, I really like this candidate, that's going to stick with me because I've really gone through this like elaborate thinking process. Okay. But here's the problem. That kind of effort takes time, like if sorry, I don't know where to move myself here. I'm going to move myself down here for now. If we can't think about all messages like that. Think about if every time a commercial came on the radio or television or whatever, you sat there and like processed it really carefully. Like nobody's got time for that. So most of the time when people are trying to make sort of like decisions, they're not going to use this really thinking heavy process in their mind. They're going to need shortcuts. They're going to take a peripheral route of processing. Peripheral just means like instead of going like, yeah, I'm focusing in on your arguments, I'm going to pay attention to sort of the peripheral or outside characteristics instead, the easier stuff, the low-hanging fruit, surface level, like I have in the slides here. This is the same as using heuristic cues. If people say, I'm going to rely on heuristics, this is kind of what we're talking about. It's not central to the persuasive argument. It's kind of off to the side. Shortcuts. Heuristic is another way of saying cognitive shortcut. So some example of peripheral cues, and this is what we're going to talk spend the rest of the time talking about, is attractiveness or credibility. So like maybe I'm watching the political debate and the person doesn't make any sense at all, but I don't care because I'm like, well, they seem like they're a credible person. Like, you know, like those types of things. Shiny object syndrome is a great way of saying this. It's like, ooh, it's shiny, it must be good, right? Um, like I do the Heidi Klum eating like a big burger. I'm like, that makes no sense at all because she doesn't look like she eats that hamburger, but it doesn't really matter because a peripheral route would just be like hamburger good, Heidi Klum attractive. Oh, you know, whatever. I'm gonna buy hamburgers to look like Heidi Klum. I don't know. Okay. The reasons that people, I kind of alluded to this before, like, so you'd be like, well, those idiots like shouldn't use peripheral processing, but most of the decisions we make are grounded in some sort of peripheral processing. Because as I mentioned before, most people do not have the motivation to sit there and scrutinize every message that they encounter. We need those shortcuts. And even if we wanted to spend that much time, we don't have the ability. If we sat there and we really thought, nope, she's and we really had to think long and hard about all of these different arguments that we're encountered with, we wouldn't be able to pay attention to what we're doing, right? Peripheral processing even allows us to multitask, right? Because we can just make quick decisions, move on to the other one, and move things around. Okay, let me see if I can go back up in the corner now. Okay, so here's a great example about like how different messages can also be designed to appeal to one type of processing over the other. This one, look, it has a bunch of text. Like this is all, I mean, it's got a very nice image, don't get me wrong, but it's got all of these arguments that you're supposed to sort of evaluate. And like I said, if, an advertiser can get you to go through the central route processing and really think about it, it's good because it'll last. But how many of you, if you were flipping through a magazine, would even stop to read this? Probably few of you. This one, you don't even have to read to know what's going on. And the font's really small. I think they know that you're not going to read it because what you need to see is right here. Sexy bikini lady with a helmet to get in a car. I don't know. Sexy bikini lady with, sexy Lexus or whatever, and it's just like, oh, that's the argument. Like, but that's how it works. And that's why it works, because all you need is that like base level, all you need is that sort of base level feeling. And then, like the decision is like Lexus must be like a good car or something. Okay, so for the rest of the lecture, pretty much, we are going to go through various, I guess I'll stay down here. Sorry, you'd think I just started doing this. For the rest of the lecture, we're going to be talking about different types of peripheral processing cues. So these are all different ways that marketers or even people in your life can sort of like appeal to your peripheral processing proclivities. Okay, so one of them is reciprocity. So this is kind of like somebody does you a favor and then you feel obligated to return on that favor by buying something. My favorite example is the free samples at Costco. They always have like somebody in the back with like delicious like pigs in a blanket or cheese balls or like whatever, so that when you're shopping they give you a sample, and then the whole point is like, oh, maybe I should go ahead and buy this. And here's the thing, you probably, it's peripheral processing, so you're probably not even thinking of it on that level. Again, think like gut level sort of feelings. So that's the reciprocity idea. If somebody gives, yeah, whatever, I think you get the point. Costco samples, just remember that. Another one is social proof. It's also known as the bandwagon effect. The bandwagon effect is everybody's doing it, so it must be cool. Again, you don't even have to think about it. You're like, well, seems good enough for all of these people, must be good enough for me. This, I think, explains Crocs, which for the record, I just want to point out, I am. Oh, those are dirty. Sorry, but I'm wearing Crocs. So I'm not really trying to hate on anyone, but let's be fair. Like, they look ridiculous. But if everybody's wearing them, then it must be fine, right? Or they must be comfortable. They are comfortable, but you know what I mean? How was I going to try it unless I saw everybody else trying it? So that's getting on the bandwagon. There's social proof that this must be fine. Scarcity is another one, right? So this is when you're like, well, shoot, I better just get a pumpkin spice latte now because, it's only seasonal. It's not going to be around forever. Any limited time offers, for McRibs, McRib, Shamrock shakes, fast food is like great about this. Anytime that you think like, oh, the other day I was ordering a book, and Amazon does this thing where they're like, oh, we have 2 left in stock. And I was like, oh, there's 2 left. Well, I better get both of them then. I might as well get one for a student while I'm here, because it was just kind of like, oh, I don't want it to be gone, So that is the scarcity principle. Consistency. So consistency is actually something that is sort of like internal to us. Humans like to do what they've always been doing. We like to do things, make decisions that conform with past behavior. If we have always used Tide laundry detergent, then guess what? When we are in the laundry detergent aisle picking out laundry detergent, more than likely we're going to go straight for the Tide. There are just some things that, and branding works on this, level many times. People like to just do things because it's just what they do, right? And as far as arguments go, we also like to believe things that confirm our belief. So if somebody is trying to, let's say, convince you of a political argument that does not resonate with what you already believe, that's going to create a lot of cognitive dissonance. Dissonance is a feeling of discomfort, especially if it's a good argument. If somebody presents a good argument for something that you disagree with, it is really uncomfortable. And there's a whole theory about how that can eventually change your mind, but it can also create reactance, right? Because people don't like that. So the bottom line, though, is peripherally, it's just easier to just go and do the things that you've already done. Humor is a peripheral processing cue. The Old Spice thing, I know it's like, Old Spice is such a horrible smell. I'm sorry for those of you who wear it, but you stink. I had to go get some deodorant at a gas station one day because I forgot to put it on before I left the house, and all they had was Old Spice deodorant. And so I have some Old Spice deodorant myself, and I'm always like telling people, I was like, if I ever smell like Old Spice, it's been a rough morning. Anyway, but they did have a few years ago like a really funny advertising campaign, which is saying something. It's like, I don't like the product, but I love the ad campaign. Super Bowl commercials, we love to talk about like the good ones, and they get like, awards for certain ones. But I'm like, there's a really good reason why people would employ humor, because sometimes even if you don't remember what the product is about, if you've had like a humorous positive experience with it, right, it creates these good sort of associations between you and that brand or whatever. It increases liking, and it also serves as a distraction where you're not going to scrutinize whether or not Old Spice makes you smell like an old man. I'm not a man, not an old man. It distracts you from those arguments that maybe the marketer doesn't want you to engage with. So that's another sort of advantage. If we were in, in-person class, I'd have you watch a video right now, but you can find this here if you go in the PowerPoints for yourself. Another peripheral processing cue is just liking. If you like it, if you think it tastes good, if you think that person is hot, if you think somebody's smart, whatever, like all of these like positive feelings that you could have towards an object or a person are all things that will help persuade you to one way or another. And I feel bad because in another video I was like, oh, we've talked about the halo effect. Now I remembered we didn't, but now we're talking about it. There's a principle in psychology. It's a sort of another cognitive bias about how when we think one thing is good, we tend to attribute other positive things to the same person or object. So this is one reason why they think like politicians tend to be very tall. There's some statistics to it. Like most of the people who get elected to office tend to be like taller than average. Short people get, elected less. And as the halo bias would go, and you get it, it's like a halo, like an angel halo, like, because it's got like a halo over it, like it's good, like angels, whatever. In the theory behind the politician thing is like, right, because in society we ascribe tallness, the characteristics we ascribe to tall people are other good things, like good leader, attractive, credible, strong, you know, like all of these different positive aspects, all just because it's associated with tallness, right? And by the way, it works the other way too. So like there, like we ascribe negative things to other negative things. So we think that short people are more stupid or uglier or like all of these, you know, whatever. Anyway, if you want to learn a little bit more about the halo effect, there's a cute little YouTube video for you. Calvin, I mean, I just put the Calvin Klein thing there because it was like, yeah, like why else do we need to see like, you know, glistening shirtless people for whatever is being at jeans? Is that a jean advertisement? And it's like, yeah, we probably don't, but we like to see attractive people because then we're going to associate, you know, that attractiveness with whatever the product, whatever the product is that we're supposed to buy. Another peripheral processing route is authority. This is like credibility. If somebody's on a commercial wearing a lab coat talking about how 3 out of 4 dentists recommend something, it's like, oh, well, they must know what they're talking about. Maybe they're a dentist themselves, you know? And it's like, yeah, but it makes it easy for us. We're like, if this expert knows what is up, then I don't have to think about it myself, right? As if your dentist is recommending cigarettes, this is from the 1960s, you know. And then there's like weird stuff like, I mean, I know this was like over 10 years ago, but it still sticks. Like Oprah was like one of these influencers where she could just get on the television and just be like, ooh, I just got this like, and this is a true example. I just got like some popcorn with some chocolate on it. And then like, you know, the people who are making the popcorn with chocolate on it like can't even keep things in stock because everybody's like, well, if Oprah likes this popcorn, it must be amazing popcorn. So authority works in different ways. It doesn't just have to be like scientific authority or whatever is the point. I don't know why that's not working. Okay. And actually this is, you know, this is one thing that I want you to be thinking about. You know, this isn't, you can't really discuss it with me right now, but be thinking about, right, how to like online influencers that you might follow in various social media platforms draw from a lot of these different principles, right? I'm not saying that nobody uses like central processing when they're watching influencers, but you know, just the fact that influencers have particular reputations suggests that they appeal to a lot of our peripheral processing tendencies. So be thinking about that. And you know, as you're thinking about that, like remember, like it's not just one or the other, right? It's like if the influencer is liked and they're attractive and they have credibility, like doing something, like they have some sort of like authority, and maybe they make certain offers that appeal to scarcity. I mean, you know, like they could use all of these things at any given time. These are some other, if you want some more practice, these are things that I show like in my in-person class, some funny examples that rely on all different types of, there are different types of advertising that I think you would recognize in a lot of things, but they all kind of appeal to like a different route, more or less. But whatever, we're not there. So anyway, so this is just like pulling it all together as a summary. According to the ELM, elaboration likelihood model, we take information in either a central or a peripheral route. The central is when we want to focus on that central argument. Peripheral is when we ain't got time for that, or we don't, you know, have the ability to focus on it. So we'll use all the peripheral cues that we talked about to weigh those things. And yeah, and then just, you know, make sure you have a pretty good idea of what those are. There are some other things that I'm sad we can't watch and hear about branding. I love watching these things. But if you just want to like, you know, if you want to pretend like this isn't an online class and show yourself videos, I highly recommend this one right now, which kind of makes fun of generic branding videos, which also rely on a lot of these cues, but there's more stuff with branding. Anyway, that's the type of thing if you want to meet and just like, you know, talk about some of the things in more depth that I can't get into in the lecture. I'd love to talk about it, but don't worry about that. If you understand all this stuff, you should be great on your quiz. So, all right, you got through week 2. Congratulations. See you later. Bye.